it's a very interesting topic, but it's also quite a lot. So I hope the energy that we are starting with is one that we'll end with. And yeah, my name is Faith Okedoyin, Okedoyin, and I've been doing this for the past 10 years. So I believe like I have quite a bit of experience in doing this and that. And so let's start. Uh, I want us to make this session count, so please, your attention is very needed. And I want to be honest with you about what community designing and building a community project really means. So it doesn't mean I'm going to give you a template. So I might not be giving you a template and showing you the formula. It means that by the time we finish today, you're going to understand the process and you'll be able to design um a project that fits the idea or the problem that you have been able to identify. Not all formulas or not all templates can be adapted in your own situation based because sometimes developing a community project is contextual. Okay, it's based on what you identify as a problem might not be a problem identified in another area. Take for instance, the problem you're identifying in Nigeria might not be the problem identified in in United Kingdom. And so if you're trying to adapt a template from the United Kingdom to suit one in Nigeria, it might not work. Why? Because the problem that is being experienced in United Kingdom that the people are experiencing is not the same thing. The culture, the tradition, everything that enables the problem is not the same thing that is happening in Nigeria. And so that's what I mean that I might not give you a template and what you can take back, but I'm going to help you understand the process, the full process of turning the problem you have identified in your area, in your community, into a structured, intentional response that can actually, create change. And that is what we are going to be building today. And going to run through this learning objectives, conducting its assessment to identify and understand a community problem, map stakeholders and understand their roles in designing a project, and then set SMART goals, design a project activity plan, and then you're able to apply basic monitoring and evaluation. And so all of this does not seem as if you're working in a very advanced office. It can be small scale, but we are just using this terminology because also when you're communicating with someone in the impact space or in the development space, or you're even applying for a funding or a grant, you should be able to use all of this vocabulary because it speaks to dominance of your own space. And so we have like 5 learning objectives. God help me to be able to cover them. And so we will start with, this is how we are going to be walking through the slide. We start with why the community projects fail, because if we don't identify the problem, we will not be able to solve it. And then again, through the learning objectives. Now let's start with, I want you to imagine you are in a room of 100 people. Okay, you are in a room of 100 people, and not with content. Let's say you are in a room of 100 people spread across African countries. So I want to believe that let me quickly do a room check. I would like to know your sphere of influence. If you're an educator, if you're a teacher, if you're a you are a policymaker, just drop a word that describes who you are currently. Let me know. I don't want to assume the kind of people that are in the room. So in the chat section, just drop, this is what I am. I'm an educator, I'm a policymaker, I'm a and I'm an advocate, what I'm a student, whatever it is that you're doing currently. Can we do that?
Okay, we have someone say they're a teacher,
Students.
another one an
Okay, a
educator.
teacher. Okay, good. Um, oh, someone is saying my voice is low. Is my voice really low or it's just from their end?
I think it's from their end.
Okay,
You're clear.
teacher, educator, child protection advocate, educator, lawyer, and child advocate. Beautiful. Thank you. I love the diversity in the room. So I would not be assuming who is in the room with me. Thank you. We have like a large number of educator and then child advocates too and lawyers. Beautiful. mix of people. So let's quickly go back to the slide as I run through. Okay, and so you're already here. That means something. And I don't take it for granted. We don't take it for granted. You have looked at your community and you identified a problem, and you say something needs to change for the children. The children are they are vulnerable, they can't speak for themselves, they can't protect themselves, they can't support themselves, and this needs to change. And so you have refused to look away, and that is really, that touches a place in my heart, and I appreciate you, I salute you. And so the moment you start recognizing that there is a problem, and that is where your community project begins. Okay, so that is where you've seen something, possibly you've experienced it yourself in the classroom. Either you're a male child or a female child, it knows no gender. Of course, it might be tilted towards a gender than the other, but it actually knows no gender. So you might have experienced it yourself, you might have seen it happen before, it might be the data that you've seen before. I might see someone's advocacy that called your attention to it, so you are in this room and that matters. And so the next thing is, what is one thing you wish existed in your community to keep children safe? Let's try start with that. What is one thing that you wish existed in your state, in your local government, or in Nigeria? You don't have to think Nigeria, you can think in your own street, in your local government, in your state. What is one thing you wish existed to keep children safe? Anyone monitoring the chat section too? Did you get my question? What is one thing that you wish exists? Or you might compare it to other countries that you think exist and is keeping them safe to a certain extent. But currently, or based on the work you're doing, what is one thing that you think exists? It might even be, you know, oh, passionate and dedicated teachers. Okay, good. You might even think absence, a safe space to speak out. But let's talk about safe space to speak out. How does that look like? I can say eradication of canes in classroom. That can be something that keeps children safe, because it can serve as a tool of intimidating children or to avoid punishment, even at home. And so I want to be as specific as possible. I want us to be as specific. Yes, educating parents about sexual abuse among children, good. Community involvement in child protection issues, beautiful. I need it to be as specific. All right, I will take two more and then I'll go back to what we are doing. So let's be as specific. One thing that you think you wish exists to keep children safe. All right, so while waiting, I'll continue. I think I've share the slide more than beautiful. And now that you have identified one or two things that you think exist to keep children safe, those things that you have identified is the gap. And so we want to move from you wishing that it exists to looking at why doesn't it exist. Okay, so I want you to think carefully. The reason you're saying that is because there is not enough. It is not enough. What we have, the models we have on ground, is not enough to support children or to keep them safe. And so what you type in the chat is not just wishful thinking, it is the evidence of a gap. I say that I want eradication of canes because I feel it is an instrument to intimidate and an excuse to use violence on children. And sometimes it trains them that it is okay to be punished for speaking up, right? Or for existing. And so I identify that as a gap, and then I can start designing my solution around it. And so a gap, what is a gap? It's very important that you understand that there is a gap in the solution you're trying to create. The distance that exists in your community right now and what should exist. What should be ideal? What should be normal? In community development, a gap is simply not the problem to lament about, not to talk about, not to chat about. It is the starting point of your project, the moment where you identified it that because of this is where it started from. Okay, so there is a difference between a potential project and a well-designed project. A potential project is, I think, I wish this could, our government can, to saying that I started speaking up. Okay. And so potential project is a moment of, it's a starting point. A potential project is in your mind. and a well-designed project is already on paper, and you are started talking about it. And so the difference is between them is not passion, it is the process. You've started initiating the process. And so a well-designed project is a structured process built on evidence, accountable to the community it serves. I love these three sentences. A structured process. You know where the point, the part you're starting from. You know the evidence that there is, and then you are accountable to the community that you are serving. Okay, and so I'm going to go back to the chat and see if there is more. Good. I have 4 more. Educating children on their abuses, teach teachers how to protect them, trained safe adults, open and honest communication from kids to parents. I want to hold you accountable to everything you have dropped in the chat section, that this is what you wish to work on. I want to assume that this is what is in your heart to work on. Okay, so you're going to hold on to these things that you have dropped. If you have not dropped yours, this is an avenue to drop something, that this is what I see as a gap. Okay, and I want to build on it. That is where it comes from. You don't just pick or adopt someone else's project when it does not align with any problem you are noticing in your community. So let's continue. And so potential project, well-designed project, gap. Identify the gap that exists in your community. Now, what is a community project from everything that we have talked about? 3 keywords: structured, intentional, built-in measurement. Now, I intentionally went to the UNDP Sustainable Community Project Framework to pick this. It's a structured, intentional effort. Nothing is coincidental. It's a structured, intentional effort to address a specific need. You have identified the need in the previous slide within a defined group of people. So you have either identified it in the school, you have either identified it at home, that is within the family, you have either identified it in the system, maybe government models is not supporting that. Now, designed with clear goals, assigned responsibilities, and a built-in way of knowing whether it worked. A community project is not a charity project. It is not charity. It is saying that I am building this to solve a particular need, and I must measure whether it worked. That is how you will know if you made a difference or you wasted effort. Because if you build a project that does not really, address the need that you're trying to address. And one thing is, okay, let me give you, for instance, and I'm going to give an example from maybe education, because that is my field. You notice that students are coming to school with, most of them don't have learning materials. And what did you do? You solicited for funds, you fundraised, and then you got 2 exercise books for students in the classroom. You got 2 exercise books for all students in the classroom, and you shared it to them. How would you know that they used the exercise book to learn? How would you know that they did not use that exercise book to sell groundnut for their parents? How would you measure the impact of that exercise book? That is a charity project. You gave them a pencil and a book. How would you measure the impact of that project on the students' learning? Are you able to measure that when I gave them this book, they were getting, before I gave them this book, they were getting 2/10. But after I gave them this exercise book, they are now getting 6/10. Or are you able to say, before I gave them this exercise book, they were attending classes twice a week. After I gave them this exercise book, they are attending the classes 3 times a week. Am I communicating? If I'm communicating with you, just give me a thumbs up. Oh, I'm not communicating with anybody. Oh, thank you, Bambo. Nobody's listening to me. Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miriam. All right, good. Oh, amazing. And another way I can get that I am communicating is if you use the chat section. If there's something that you feel like maybe it resonates with you, or a question that drops in your heart, like, oh, how then can we do this? Or maybe you've been doing something before and you didn't realize that it's not the right way to do it, and you're realizing it. Just drop in the chat section. Don't be stingy with your comment. Drop it. And so structured, intentional, built-in measurement. And so the way to avoid wasted effort, because when you do all of those things where you share pencils, or you share this, or you share that thing, it might not make a whole lot of difference in their lives, because they go back to square one, and you don't want that to happen. You want that to be sustainable. The key word here is sustainable. Sustainable development goals is not just development goals. Sustainable means without you, it continues. Without you, it is systemized. And how do we know that the system is in place? It has to be structured, it has to be intentional, and there must be a built-in measurement. And so structured means there is a deliberate process, not just enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is where it starts. Okay, it begins there. You're passionate, you have, there's a burning desire in your heart. It starts there. Intentional now takes your enthusiasm into, being structured. Like every decision you make is purposeful. And then measurement, you track everything you're doing, the amount that is coming in, things that, the activities that you're designing. And so this is where these four key arrows, these four keywords come in. Understand the problem, plan towards it, design the process, and then you measure. And I will release the slide to you. That's no problem. So because I will be going fast. Now, why do most community projects fail? Number one, they are solving the wrong problem. So a solution is designed before the problem is properly understood. That is a wrong way to go. If you're designing a solution before understanding the problem, and that is why I will keep using that example where you see that students, you see them in the school and you just think the next thing they do is exercise note, but you did not identify the problem. Why don't they have resources, or what kind of resources do they need? Why are they going to the classroom with an empty bag? Is it that at home they don't have like support systems to check if they are going to school with the right things? So resources are spent, energy is invested to advocate, to bring money, but you're spending the solution, you're designing the solution around the wrong problem. And so a needs assessment, this is where you need a needs assessment to prevent this. Okay. And the second reason why community projects fail is that you leave out the people who matter the most. Have you seen a situation where you're designing a solution and the community say they do not want the solution? They do not allow it to happen. Okay, and that is because you're leaving out the people who matters the most. You're designing a solution, and the stakeholders, the parents that have a say over the children, or teachers that can also help the process, they are left out, and you feel like you can do it yourself. No, you need a buy-in. You can't go to a school to advocate without informing the principal, without informing the teachers, or even looking at the systems around it. So stakeholders who have influence over the project's success, or the most affected by the problem, are consulted too late. So if you're thinking that parents are not well trained, the first thing is to speak to parents. First, do a trial run. I'm going to talk to 20 parents about this, okay? In this particular area, hear from their own perspective what it is. What, don't go to a solution with a bias in your mind already. Parents are not sensitive enough, parents do not care enough. Maybe they do care, maybe something else is the problem, but you won't know if you just assume and you start putting the solution on the ground. You're designing a solution and you're bringing the notebooks. You should speak to the teachers. Why do you think that these kids don't have enough notebooks? Speak to their parents, why are these kids not having enough notebook? That is where you design and you gather momentum. So stakeholders analysis prevents you leaving out people who would make your project successful. Then the third one is they cannot tell whether anything changed. And this is where monitoring and evaluation come in. You cannot define success. What does success look like to me? So before you start any project, or you embark on any project, these three things must be in place. Number one, needs assessment. Number two, stakeholder analysis. And number three, monitoring and evaluation. Needs assessment, understand the problem, understand the need of the community, speak to people, gather data. The second one is what? Stakeholder. Who are the people that would make this project successful? Without them, it is not team. Stakeholder analysis is not team, is not you bringing together a team. It is bringing people that really who would matter in the solution you are trying to design. And then the third one is to monitor. What does success, if I'm going to design the solution, what does success mean to me? that means there must be, a particular output or outcome that you are designing for. And so this is where I am going to I'm going to give you a particular scenario. So you are in a room, you are in a room of like 100 people spread across African countries, and some of you are parents, teachers. Um, I'm sorry, this is going to take a time. I'm going to jump this. I'm going to jump this because I am looking at the time. I'm told I have 1 hour, and so um what is needs assessment? Okay, a needs assessment based on this previous slide, starting with the first failure, we are working around these three things. And so starting with the first one, a needs assessment is a systematic process for determining gaps between current condition and desired condition. What is the current condition? Children don't speak up when they encounter abuse. They don't talk to adults. They don't know, or they don't even have the words for it, right? And your desired condition is that students or children should be able to identify or know when they have when they are defiled or when they are facing specific situation. And so a systematic process for determining gaps between current condition and desired condition, and for identifying priorities for action. And so let's say in plain terms, a needs assessment is the discipline of asking the right question before spending a single resource on a solution. It's a discipline. Okay, it is more than just being enthusiastic or passionate. You are disciplined enough to ask the right question. It is research in a way. Needs assessment it's a form of research. Okay, it might not be, it's qualitative research. It might not be quantitative. It might not be doing all of those coding and every other thing, but it is asking the right question before spending anything. Spending time. Time is a resource. Before spending time on, saying, let's go to this community and let's start talking about it. You don't understand the process. Do they have a traditional way of doing these things, or do they even understand what it means? And so you have to speak to them. So not assumptions about the gap. Okay, not guess. Okay, it is systematic. That means it is documented, that follows steps, procedures, evidence, and leads to priorities. You cannot solve every problem. That's another thing. When you don't do a needs assessment, you don't know where to start from. Let's say you identify a tree, right? A tree is planted in the wrong place and you want to cut it down. You don't cut it down from the head. You want to ensure that it doesn't um sprout again. Or maybe the most effective way is to dig it up from the root. But if you cannot address the root, maybe the most effective way is to cut the stem. And if you cannot cut the stem, maybe the most effective way is to take out the fruit. You have to know where you are starting from. Not everybody can start from the root anyway, because starting from the root means, but so that can be someone's passion to start from the root, re-educating, reorienting. Culture, man makes culture. Culture doesn't make man. That's a quote that I've heard um consistently. And so it takes years and years of unlearning what has been learned. And that takes that, you're a ghost soldier if you're doing that. And so for you to, we are already in needs assessment in case you don't know. So 3 questions every needs assessment must answer. Number one, what is happening? Document what is currently occurring, not what you assume, not what you have heard second hand. What does the evidence show? When I spoke to children in this community, and again, please, speaking to children, you ensure that your needs assessment is ethical. You cannot speak to children without having an adult there, or without taking permission from their parents or from their teachers or someone that is in charge of them that can give them. So please, you must also be very conscious of what you're doing and the ethical implications. Okay, so what are community members experiencing right now, right? And so the second one is, I would still go back to that scenario that I did not speak to you about, because it is very important to what we are going to. What should be happening? That's the second question, is what should be happening, and that is the desired situation. What is happening right now is the current situation. What should be happening is the desired situation. Define the standard. If you can support it with maybe scholarly research or something, or things that has been done, what is the standard? Define it. What would this community look like if this problem were addressed? What is the goal state? What are you designing towards? Okay. and then what is standing in the way currently? What are the root causes and barriers? What This is the most critical part of that question, because your answers will determine the kind of interventions you need. Different barriers require different solution. Okay, different barriers require different solution. Okay, let me go back to this particular one. And so a solution was set up around for 12, a solution was set up that there is a call center, right, for 12 months, that was established for like a year, right? It's like a child abuse reporting hotline across West Africa for a year. It was, I think it was like a trial. So a child abuse reporting hotline across West Africa. However, there was only 12 calls in 12 months. They had only 12 calls, right? In 12 months. And it's a hotline that immediately you report this case, someone, addresses the issue. Now, what evaluators found that caregivers did not know the hotline existed. Awareness had never been built into the design. Those who knew about it did not trust that the reporting would lead to any action, right? Or trust had never been built. And in many communities, the behaviors in question were not recognized as abuse at all. Knowledge had never been built. Imagine building a hotline. Let's say you desire that in a state or in your local government, you want to do a hotline where if there is any case, it's reported. But maybe the things that counted as abuse, that counts as abuse to you, is not recognized. Knowledge has never been built. And so the problem was never access. The solution was built for the wrong problem, right? And so I have quickly done a brief overview. It was meant for you to do, but I didn't want to take a lot of time. And so root causes and barriers. So if you there are different barriers require different solution entirely. And so you must be able to know the barrier and the solution you are designing towards it. And so what are the methods of needs assessment? I am giving you this free of charge. Surveys, questionnaires, you already know that. Focus group discussion, that is also a very good way. Gather teachers around. If your solution is trained towards teachers, gather like 4 or 5 teachers. It can even be an online call. Talk to them about it. Design your question ahead, and then talk to them that, of course, protect their identity and protect the data that they are giving you. It must be ethical. If it's going to the community, go to the bale, the community elder, talk to them. I'm sorry, I that this is a problem I'm trying to solve, and I want to, speak to people if truly this problem exists. And then you speak to people there. Key informant interview, one-on-one conversation with individuals who have specific knowledge, teachers, health workers, community leaders, that provides you with depth, nuance, and insider perspective that groups settings may not surface. And community observation too, going to that community to live there for like 2 or 3 weeks to understand the behaviors, the conditions, and all of that. Or review of existing data. There is school record, incident report, government data, prior research, community audit. You can also build on that. Okay. Now let's move on to stakeholder analysis. It is now saying that now I understand the problem. Okay, who are those people that are critical to the success of this project? And that is where a stakeholder is any individual, group, organization who that has an interest in or is affected by the outcomes of your project. You cannot go to a school without speaking to the headmaster. And if it's a public school, you go through the Ministry of Education first, because it has to go through them. And so you have to also understand the different level of influence, high influence or high interest. Okay, for example, those people that would engage closely, your primary partners, engage from the design stage, not after the decision are made. Let's say school principals. Now you have started designing your solution. School principals, parent association, community leader, child protection officers, they have high influence or high interest. Okay, high influence or low interest, they have power. They can shut your case down immediately. Involve them early so they do not become blockers when the project scales. Okay, you can't go to a school, any secondary school, or even either private or public. Local government officials have a way of shutting it down if they tell you that it is not right. Institutional heads, So low influence, high interest, consult, like these are people that you can talk to: teachers, frontline teachers, volunteers, community volunteers, survivors, caregivers. So their knowledge, they have the knowledge that you need, right? Low influence or low interest, these are the public, the general public, right? They do not overinvest in their views, right? And so a project that involve your skills, key stakeholders early from the design stage, gets successful, rather than ones where you have to start over explaining to them at different stage. Now we are not going to the goals and objective. You have done your needs assessment, you have analyzed your stakeholders. Now you need to understand the difference between goals and objective. Okay, now a goal tells you where you are heading. It does not tell you how to get there, how far along you are, or whether you have arrived. It's a broad goal. Goal is broad. Okay, every child in my community will be safer if I do this. But objective is the where you break down your goals, turn by turn navigation, specific, measurable, time bound. Okay, so under goals you have objective, which is measurable. Speaking to five teachers, talking to speaking to five teachers lead to reaching 20 children, or speaking to five teachers means I would reach 200 children, because one teacher can influence 50 children. Okay, so an objective tells you what you're doing, for whom, by when, and when exactly you will know how it happened. So by June 2026, 30 parents in our ward will complete child protection training, measured by pre and post knowledge assessment. So you want to avoid being vague. I would not go. The next slide is about SMART goals, and I don't want to go through that because you already know it, the meaning of SMART. And yeah, so it has to be very specific, specificity. And yeah, that's what I'm saying, that I don't want to go through this. Go take you through the SMART framework. Okay. And now this is your turn. Based on the gap that you identified or what you wished existed, write one SMART objective for a child safety project in your community. You all identify different things. Okay. Let me quickly take you to the SMART. What exactly will change and for whom? Name the target group: children, teachers, parents. Name the behavior or condition that will change. Be precise enough that a stranger could understand what exactly you're trying to do. Measurable: how will you know it happened? Define the indicator: numbers, percentages, documented changes in behavior. It is achievable, it's realistic. Okay. Relevant: it directly addresses the need you assessed. And then time bound. Now look at this. By this time we will do this for these people, measured by this. 2 sentences maximum. Drop in the chat. You have 2 minutes. I'll wait for like 1 minute before I start. Thirty seconds to go. Ten seconds to go. All right. I'm coming to the chat. by 26th of this month, we are going to have child body safety counseling. For how many children? And how would you know that it worked? Thank you, Bambo. But we also need to talk about how would you know it worked? Are you going to have a quiz? For example, will children know their part of the body more? You know, to conduct, I will go to teacher training institution to conduct awareness campaign with the teacher training. Good. But again, let's also think monitoring and evaluation. How would you know it worked? So I want you to edit your comment. Like I said, it can be 2 sentences. So are you going to have a pre and post assessment? Pre and post assessment. Pre assessment, what don't they know? Post assessment, what do they now know? Pre-assessment, they did not recognize specific abuse. Post-assessment, yes, they can now. Good. To increase child safety awareness in our community by training at least 100 children aged 6 to 15 and 50 parents on personal safety skills, recognizing and reporting through weekly workshops over a period of 3 months. Thank you. By June 20, we would be having a creative hands-on learning for 20 children who will be able to make creative content that can help their cognitive development. Thank you. Okay. All right. So quickly moving on. Thanks to everybody who have dropped one or the other. Right now, let's move on to designing. Now, once you have mapped stakeholders that you've done this assessment, and you have your goals that's going to guide you. The first is to, we've done preparation. Project design is the process of determining what activities you will carry out. So at the preparation stage, you do your needs assessment, okay? Finalize your needs assessment. You can see it here. Complete stakeholder mapping. You already have it. Mobilize resources, people, front materials. Define your objective goals and success indicators. This is where your objective helps. Now we'll move on to implementation, okay? Deliver core project activities. Engage community. So this is where, like, after your needs assessment, what is the solution that you would design? Okay, what are the things that you want to do? So engage community members and stakeholders. How do they come in? How do they support it? Then document all activities as they will happen. Then keep your timeline visible and updated. Then you move on to, so you have from the preparation stage to the implementation stage, to the monitoring stage, to the evaluation stage. Okay, the goals you set is what you will monitor and evaluate. If you don't have a goal, you can't monitor if it's working out, if you're evaluating. If you did not map out stakeholders, you will not know who to involve, who to reach out to start your implementation. And so if each of these particular boxes is not ticked, you might have a problem or an ineffective one. Okay, so engage community and does that. Then monitor. Monitor means after you have implemented, you've delivered core activities, you carried out the training, you have done, you spoke to the teachers and every other person, and you documented, and you work with your timeline, then you start monitoring it. Now, monitoring does not come at the end. You start monitoring from the beginning. Monitoring is where you do your pre-assessment. So once you've done your needs assessment that there is a gap, and then you now say, based on this gap, let me document the gap that is existing. You give them a kind of pre-assessment before the training. Okay, and so that is, you design your monitoring all through the program. So you hold regular check-ins with your team, or you hold regular check-in with, as the training is going on. You're not waiting till the end. After each class, you are assessing. In today's class, they were able to do this, they were able to do that. It helps you to identify what is working or what is not, a particular model that is not working or not, and then adjust activities on what the data shows. Then evaluation is like the outcomes against your baseline. The output is immediate, the outcome is long term. So analyze whether objectives were achieved, document lessons for the next iteration, and then report to stakeholders and the community. Stakeholders means that they need to know what changed. So when you go and implement something in a school, it is now left to you to write a report back to your school. Thank you for giving us access to your school. This is the report. We were able to do this and this and this. This is specifically what we changed. When we started, 40% of the children do not know or could not identify what this means. But after this, after we did this, this, and this, with your permission, we were able to, and at the end of the assessment, 80% of them now do this. So what are you taking on? Why do you have 80 and not 100%? Okay. And then a timeline is needed across board. You document. So this is what makes your planning. This is what makes your project planning. Okay, there must be a document for all of this. And so going in depth into monitoring and evaluation. So monitoring is continuous. It is not at the end. It's like summative and formative assessment. Monitoring is like a formative assessment. It is ongoing. Ongoing. At every step, you are measuring. Are we doing what we said we would do? Is this having the effect it's going to it says it will have? And evaluation is periodic. It's like the summative at the end of the year exam or everything. So the periodic assessment of whether project activities are producing intended change. Okay, and so you have all of that. Don't let me bore you with that. And so before we close, how would you know in 6 months that your project made a difference? If you cannot answer that question today, build the answer into your design before you start. As you're doing your needs assessment and every other thing that is going to fill the gap, you need to ask yourself, how would I know that in 6 months something has changed? If not, it's like you're pouring a water inside a basket. Success is not the feeling at the end of a project, I did it. I said I was going to have a podcast and I did it. How many people listen to the podcast? Across how many countries? What is the feedback? Was there a survey on what has changed? It is a measure you defined at the beginning. Okay, and so most community projects monitor output. They count activities. Oh, we talk to 20 children, we talk to 60 teachers, but at the end of the day, after talking to them, if you go back to those teachers and students, would something have changed? What you're being asked to do is measure outcomes, actual documented change in the lives of the children your project is designed to serve, not something that they will forget in the long term. And so, synthesizing everything: community need, key stakeholders and roles, goals, objective, key activities and timeline, you will monitor, how you will evaluate. Okay? A community project begins with understanding, not designing. Before you build anything, you must know what problem you're solving, for whom, and what is standing between the current reality and the desired one. You must have clear objectives. Okay, they are how you know whether your work mattered. A goal tells you where you want to end up. An objective tells you what exactly you would do. What exactly you would do, for whom, by when, and how you prove it. And then you design monitoring and evaluation from the beginning to the end. All right. Yeah. So before you sleep tonight, fill in the first 3 rows of your project canvas. This is your project canvas here. This is it here. If you don't have it, I hope you find I can give you the slides again. So this is like your project canvas that you need to, work on these key models. Do not wait until you feel ready. Fill in whatever you know now, and then share your canvas with one person that can hold you accountable, or participant in this course. And so return to this recording when you're ready to build. And I hope this helps you. My name is Faith Okedoyin, and yeah, we've come to the end of the program, to the end of this session.
Thank you
Hello.
so much.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you. I thought I was mute. I was unmuted. Thank you very much. Can I get the clapping emoji? Get a thank you in the comments. Thank you so much, my faith. Okodoyin. It was such an
Okay,
impactful
doing.
and valuable.
It's okay, doing.
Sorry, Okedoyin. Thank you so
Perfect.
much for that valuable. Thank you. We appreciate. So please, can I get a reaction? Can I get feedbacks in the comments? The feedbacks in the comments I see from Freda. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, that was such an invaluable section with you, Ma Okodeyin. Sorry. I hope I tried this to understand. That was so amazing. Thank you so much for the
That's
value you shared with yourself. We appreciate you. So we're going to be moving over. Sorry, I'm going to still pin you back. 1 minute. I think we're going to be moving over to the question and before that, should we take the announcement? Please just say, kindly bring people inside. I see people at the lobby. There are people in the lobby. So we're going to over to the question and answer time. This is question and answer section. So if you have questions or you have questions, any questions for her, please do well to drop them in the comments. We are in our question and answer section. So if you have questions for Ma Faith, kindly drop them in the comments. I believe this was actually a very, I know I don't even need to talk about it again because we all were interacting. I could see the comments from time to time. I saw some of you asking questions too. But this time around, we actually brought this time for this time was mapped out for questions and answer. So if you have questions, any questions for Mafet Okodoyin, kindly ask them now. We have 5 minutes to take your questions. We have just 5 minutes to take your questions. So any question, kindly type them, or you may, if you want to unmute yourself, if you want just to talk, you can also have the opportunity to unmute yourself and talk. So whichever one you want, or whichever one you feel like, kindly do that. So we have 5 minutes before we call this an end, and then we take the announcement and go. 5 minutes. I mean,
Afternoon.
okay.
Hello,
Good
good afternoon.
afternoon. Good afternoon. Yes, you have the mic.
Yes,
The mic is yours. Thank you.
thank you so much for this wonderful lecture. In fact, it was, well, I would say it was too. Uh,
The question I have is concerning evaluation. You said
something about, you know, and I was wondering, let's take for instance, you went to a school to talk to the learners about maybe body safety, trying to educate them, about body safety. How would you be able to, evaluate that probably maybe after 6 months to know if there was actually a change in their, would I say attitude or knowledge now or something? How would you actually carry out that evaluation? That's my question.
Thank you very much for beautiful question. Really insightful. So the thing is, when what you're describing is more of an awareness, not a training. A training is more structured, where it goes over a period of time. And so when it is an awareness, maybe you are talking to them in an assembly or it's a one-off, it's difficult to evaluate. And so you have to build something into that awareness, a one of something that would keep reminding them. Even a behavior does not change at once, like it's a function of habit over time. Or is it learning that I said something that occurs as a result of continuous change. And so when we do a one-off campaign or we do a one-off awareness and we don't attach anything else to it, we don't layer it up with something else, it's difficult to evaluate or measure. You can talk about the fact that maybe before you start that, you ask them question, and maybe out of a group of how many of you know what this is and all of that, so maybe 20 out of 40 raised their hand. That is a form of, reading the room to understand what the gap is, to understand. But if that's not even the gap, to know what their knowledge level is before you come in to give them knowledge. And so once you give them knowledge and you ask at the end, so what now? But at that stage, you can't say a behavior has changed. It's just knowledge, and they can forget. Okay, they can forget it. The next day, after they talk to their friend or something happens, only a few of them, maybe one or two, that is personally experiencing that will come and approach you to ask follow-up question. And so at the level of awareness where you're just maybe at the assembly, you're speaking to like 200, 300 children, or in a hall, it is hard to evaluate. You just have to work with asking structured question. Oh, what is this? How many of you know what this is? Those kind of questions. And then afterwards, you ask another question. So who can now tell me this? But it's a one-off, and we just hope that it sticks. But it has not gone past that level to becoming, it does not move from their short-term memory to a long-term memory. So once, if you want it to become a part of them or go into their long-term memory, you have to maybe work with the school system to design a training, a long-term training that happens over and over again, that even can come with certification. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. The other question I'm seeing is what can be done uniquely to make your SMART objective stand out? I feel like there is no way for it to stand out if you have done it right. It has to just be rightly done. It might not Standing out is not something that you won't measure your SMART objective against another person's. Okay, it has to just be functional to what you're doing. Someone else's objective might be different from your own objective. So as long as you follow the plan of making it specific, based on the problem you have identified, it's measurable, you're able to measure it, is defined, and all of that. I feel that is the best thing you can do. Outside of that, and you have the best team to implement, because even having smart goals does not mean that it will be well implemented. And so you must also have the best team who are committed to doing that, and that would work. And then how can root causes and barriers be discussed in a highly uneducated zone or community? um this is a very tricky one. And so when I was having like a session with advocates from other parts of Nigeria, I think in their world, we were talking about deficit framing. When you are going into a community, you don't go into a community with the idea of you are a savior or you are a hero or you know better than them, you know a better way, even though you have a solution or you have a better way of this, or you're doing them a favor. You want to ensure that you are coming to them in a way that you embrace their culture. You must first embrace what they have, be interested in what is existing, and then you now co-collaborate the solution with them. You can't, use the approach of I know better, I do this and all of that, or you can't stay on the outside and you would see the needed change. So you have to work with the community leaders, talk to them, be their friends, see the different models that is already existing, if there is a model existing at all. Okay. And so right there, then you can now start with asking the community leaders, can I have meetings with your mothers maybe every Saturdays? Oh, can we, I know you guys have community meetings every Saturday, can I use this community meeting to just talk to women? I feel that our female children are, you don't condemn their behaviors. If you condemn them, number one, they will see you as younger, or rather, they will see you as bringing westernized ideas or all of those things. And so it has to be with wisdom that you'll be able to approach them. And that way, you have to look at what exists. You can't take Mondays or Tuesdays away from them because they have to survive. And so, how do you address those root causes? You address it by working with already existing. I know that for many local communities, Their Saturdays, they have community meetings, landlords meetings, all of these things that existed. Market women have their association. These people have their association. And so you look at the stakeholder, the person that is the most influential. Identify the most influential person that can converge people. If it is left to you, you will not come unless you are attracting them with financial resources, and they have to survive, right? And so look for the most influential person to talk to them, to tell them, find a way to sell your idea to them that embraces them. Oh, we are doing this so wonderfully well. We have this community is progressing, but we can also progress when our children are not afraid of this. So then you introduce your idea to them. That is the most practical way I can, because you can't undo years and decades of abuse. Even fathers need to be involved in this process, but you have to find the person that has the ears of the father. Fathers will not listen to you. So the first person that you will need to find is the gatekeeper. Who is the gatekeeper to these people? Okay. And then you design, even if it means converting what you want to do into their language. You must go the extra mile. That is where innovation comes in. You can't go to a traditional community where they are speaking purely Yoruba and you're speaking to them with English. They will not listen to you. You must know how to translate to their traditional language and speak their language. Come to them with their culture. It's a lot, but it can be done. I hope I answered your question.
I believe you did. I believe you did. Okay. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I believe you did because I can't hear any question. I can't hear any comment from her, but I believe you did justice to that. So while we wait for other questions, I think it's probably. Oh, kindly mute yourself, please. Where's the person? Okay, so while we wait for other questions, I believe there should be other questions.
Hello.
Let's just take the announcement.
Hello.
Okay, all right. Yeah, go ahead and ask the question,
Hello.
please.
Hello.
We can hear you. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello. This is Sajad Ram.
We can hear you.
Sajad Ram.
Yeah, Sajad Rami.
I said this is Sajad
question.
Ram.
Yes,
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Just yeah. Thank you very much for that presentation, and I think it's very insightful. So anyway, it's just a contribution. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, like for example, as a child body safety advocate who is going into the community, I think it's very relevant. The community that you are planning to work with, you actually access to know that community very well, because they have something that I want to believe is relevant to the work that you intend to do with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very relevant for you to know the community and then what they need, and then you have to plan such a way that you get what you want from them as far as that piece of work that you are going to engage with them is concerned. So it's really important, because you have highlighted in your deliberation that yes, these are people that you need to know before working with them, especially in terms of language barrier. Because if you go to a community whereby you have a language barrier, they may not listen to you, even whereas you have something very important for them.
Yeah.
Yes. So let us not also belittle them. Let us value them. And then our intention to interact with them is to work with them for the betterment of our children. So I think in that aspect, it will really help us to achieve our intended objective, because our objective there is at least to improve the community on the obstacles that our children are facing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's my contribution. Though I came, it was very difficult for me to join the class, so I was struggling. But eventually, I am able to join.
Thank
So
you so
I thank
much
you
for your
very much.
input. Yeah, yeah. And I think I would end on this note that it is important that, irrespective of how you think, how diabolical you think a community is, you don't look at them from a deficit. You don't look at them from a deficit perspective. They've been existing before you came
Yeah.
in. They've been doing things certain way before you came in. And so look to collaborate with them, because once they assume, well, you might have like a leverage, maybe your parents are in that community or someone that brought you in, but at the end of the day, the solution, the efforts will be wasted. You would not have access to make the change you want to make. And so even with the outdated practices that you assume they have, work alongside it and subtly from the inside start changing things. And so you are not a savior, you are not a hero, you don't know better than them. That is their way. Cultures have been existing, and so it doesn't change overnight. You find a way, you find a relevant way, okay, that would not make them think that you are trying to control them or manipulate them. So you have to speak the best language, and that is why it's important to look for the gatekeepers in that community to move closer to them, and then they would be able to help you execute the change. And first, I think it's also
That's
important to
very
convert a small group of people. It's easier to have people on your end, maybe 2 or 3 people that are already agreeing with you, than to trying to convert a whole community. So win small first, win 2 or 3 people or
mhm,
4 people to your end that have different influences, and then you move further. Thank you.
that's good. Thank you very much. That's very important. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mafeet Okedoyin, for your section. We appreciate, and thank you so much, Saja, for asking that question. It's a very important question, and I'm very happy to see you here today, because last week you complained that your network was actually bad, but so happy to see you here and then make your contribution. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faith. I would like you all to keep dropping your comments, your feedbacks in the comments. Of course, we're still going to do that in the community, because we would want to actually share it on our platforms, social media platform, also send it to our speaker to say a big thank you to her. So if you want to connect with Mafeet Okedoyin, we'll be sharing her Instagram and LinkedIn profiles to all of you in the community. So do not worry about that one. We're going to be sharing her Instagram handle and her LinkedIn handle, every one of us in the community. And yes, we're moving on to last. Thank you so much, Ma. We appreciate you. We appreciate your presence and the value you selflessly.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. Thank you very much. We're moving on to announcements without wasting much time. The first announcement here is that I just wanted to remind all of you to start your modules, because we've been checking the website and some of you have not even started. Like, your progress is still at 20% when you're meant to be at 60 something percent and 80 something percent. Please and please start your course module. The website is open. You already know the website, speakout4children.org, and it's also pinned in the community. Go to the community, click on that website, and start your course module. Okay, for those people that have started, continue your course module, because some of you have started but you just dropped off after your first. Back to that program, go back to your modules that there is so much work to be done. And yes, we're drawing closer to the end of this program, so I would appreciate if all of you are so intentional about your course. Remember, you can't have it if you don't complete your course. At least an 80%. Can't get a certificate from us if you don't complete your course modules. So please start your course, continue your course. I believe that you're with us during our May graduation. The third is to remind all of you to look out for an email from us, where we're going to be sending you a message about peer mentors. You already know that you're going to be having peer mentors guiding for your projects. So please, this coming week, Just
No, baby.
mute yourself, please. Kindly help me mute the person in the background. Thank you.
Next slide.
Just person in the background. Can you all hear me now, please?
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
All right. Okay, sorry about that. I think I was muted for a second. But then let's continue. So just like I said, look out for a message from us. We're going to be sending out messages regarding peer mentors because this year we decided to add peer mentors to help facilitate the whole process. So look out for a message from us this week regarding your peer mentor. You have a mentor assigned to you that will help assist you for your project. The last announcement we have here is regarding your change of name. If your name is still bearing Battle Ass, which is your Gmail account name or whatever, go back and change it to the name that you want to appear on your certificate, the name you would like us to put on your certificate. Okay, some of your names are just weird on that website. If you're yet to change your name on the website, do well to reach out to me. Ask me, how do I change the name on my website? How do I change my name? So do well to reach out to me this week or anytime around Sunday and Monday regarding this. I would like us to complete this so we don't have any problems or challenge around this. The program schedule is still as follows. Next week, that's the coming week, we're going to be facing our concept notes. We're going to be dealing with our concept notes clearly. So yes, we're going to be writing our concept notes this coming week. So prepare yourself for the concept notes. You're going to prepare a concept note for us. Details around this will also be communicated in the community. What else am I missing out? Start your course module. You can see that the website is still here, speakoutforchildren.org. Click on that website and start your module. This week is all around concept notes, and from March 23rd to March 29th, you should have finished up with your concept notes. So prepare your mind to start your concept notes. The project mentors, your peer mentors, will be assigned to you this coming week. So look out for the message. Finally, thank you all for joining us. I see 21 persons. I think I saw 25 or so at the beginning, but then I see 21 or 23 or so of you on this call. Thank you all for staying to the end. Thank you so much. We appreciate your presence. And yes, thanks to our speaker for today, Project Esther Okedoyin. Thank you very much for sharing value with us. It was such an amazing section with you. In fact, I'm going home with value. As an educator, it was such an insightful section, and I believe that it was insightful for other people too. So thank you so much for being here with us. We appreciate you. I don't know if there's any other question or announcement to make, but is there any other question from anybody for my faith? Any other contribution or anything we want to say in the next 1 minute so we can call this an end?
Okay, please,
Okay, so
the change of
There's a
name.
quick. Yes, hello.
somebody was saying something before you, a woman, I believe,
I
a
said there's a
lady.
quick question.
Okay, thank you so much. I asked earlier about how to go about the change of name on the website.
Okay, so reach out to me. Like I'm in the community, you already know. So reach out to me today, shortly after this meeting, so I can help you out. Does that help? Okay, so the next person,
Hello?
please, can you ask a question? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so for me, the last session, I had a complete low point, and I tried continuing. I was even thinking about quitting the chat room because I reached out to a lady who I think you recommended, and she said a similar thing. So I don't know whether I have any tech knowledge, but I tried doing exactly what she told me, and consistently I wasn't given a chance to continue the course module. Up to now, it's still the same. That's just my
Is
concern.
this
Thank you.
Oma? Yeah, is this Oma, please?
Come again?
Not please.
Oma, I can't see your
Oma
name
is-
there.
No, my name is not Oma.
All right, so because I know someone that had the same challenge, just reach out to me today. Shortly after this meeting, we can talk about this. All right. I believe that this
Okay.
will be settled because other participants have gone beyond this. So I just feel it's just some technical errors and all that, but it can be fixed. It can be fixed. So that will not be challenged. Reach out to me shortly after this meeting and we can talk about it. So
Okay.
in the absence of no other question, whatever question you have for us, drop it in the community. And please do not forget to drop your feedback from the section and that our community. The feedback flyer is already there waiting for you. And it's like, what did you take home from this section? What was one thing you took from this section? What's your feedback from the section? So I want to hear your feedbacks. Drop them in the community. We want to see them. We want to send them to speakers, and we also want to share it on our socials. Thank you all for your active participation. Remember, this is your chance to actually become a child body safety ambassador. Finish your course modules, start your course modules, complete your course modules, and you have a certificate from us. And not just the certificates, the knowledge base. You get to build yourself. You're equipped for the future. You're equipped to become a child body safety advocate, advocating for children's rights. So thank you so much for being a part of this program. We appreciate you all and do have a lovely day. I don't know if the director has anything to say. Maprisi, do you have something to tell us before we end?
Thank you so much, Miriam, for being such an amazing uncle. Thank you, Madam Faith, for the wonderful presentation. We really appreciate you all. And to all our amazing upcoming advocates, thank you so much for joining in. And I hope you're able to go back to your drawing book and apply all what you have learned. Start building up on your projects, your ideas, your evaluations, and your assessments. And if you have any challenge along the line or you need further guidance and clarifications, kindly do not hesitate to reach out to us. And like Miriam mentioned, you'll be having your peer mentors very soon who will also support you and push you through in your project. So I hope we're all going back, all fired up and pumped up, ready to advocate, to lend our voices, and then to make a change in our various communities. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you so much. And that's our director for Child Body Safety Academy. Maprisi, thank you so much for that message. We appreciate you and we hear you. Thank you very much. So in the absence of no other contribution and question, this is where we draw the curtain. See you all in the community and keep being amazing. Is a bye for now.